Hello and welcome to this episode of DJ Force 10 in Conversation. I've got Zardonic on this episode, DJ Zardonic. He's a DJ, music producer, coming out of Venezuela and now residing in Germany. And he's coming over to the UK at the end of this week, or end of this month, to play the Infest Festival, which is an industrial festival based up in Bradford in England. Unfortunately, I won't be there. I would have loved to have been there, but I'm on holiday that week with the family, so I won't be able to make it. But also Rave the Requiem are playing, former guests on this show, so I am very disappointed that I'm not going, but also going on a family trip. So family is family, and it comes first. And it's going to be a heck of a festival, but generally, Zardonic is one of those artists that I've been following for a long time. I've been wanting to get him on the show for a while as well, just purely because our sort of like our tastes in music are on par with each other, and as it turns out, our journeys through music and stuff are very similar as well. Which made for a great conversation. You can tell by the timestamp on this, it's quite a hefty one. It could have gone on for much longer, believe me. We were kind of just chatting away, and then we realised the time. And he was in Germany, so he was an hour ahead of us, and it was closing in on midnight there. So I had to get out for work the next day, so we kind of had to cut it short. But I'm sure we'll have another chance. Again soon at some point to do something else, which would be really cool. Thank you to all those that have joined me since listening to the Tiffany episode a couple of weeks back. The response from that has been absolutely fantastic. I can't believe it. It was kind of one of those interviews that came out of the blue, and thank you to Dave Purnell for setting that up. But it's the response has been great, and Tiffany, it was such a great interview for someone that, as a child, I listened to, and that song has been like an earwig for me for the longest time, and it's continued since that interview, to be honest. It's been one of those things, and a lot of like my friends and stuff were quite astounded by it as well. You spoke to Tiffany, and I'm like, yeah. But yeah, she's currently in the UK doing lots of promo. Actually, she's been all over the television. She's just about to play the Rewind Festival as well, which is over in Maidenhead, or Henley, I should say. So she's playing that with a bunch of other artists like Michael Bolton, Belinda Carlisle, a lot of good like Rewind retro kind of festival, as you would expect. Thank you for those joining us. This is a very different interview for those who haven't gone back into a few of my other ones, just purely on the sort of style of music on this one. But we're talking like heavy drum and bass, dance music in general, and metal, kind of like having that fusion. And like I said, it was a great chat we were going on. We could have gone for ages, but I'm not going to sort of delay it much longer. I've just got one more thing to say, or actually two more things. The Radar Festival I did the after parties for a couple of weeks ago was fantastic. Watching bands like Animals as Leaders, Heart of a Coward, No Consequence did a one-off reappearance, and it's a fantastic festival in Guildford. They're doing it again next year, so look out for that. They haven't announced any bands for it, but I hope to do the after parties again if they want me. If not, I might just go as a punter. I'm still on the midst of my 365 days of Scratch. I think we're up to about 226 now as of recording this particular intro, and that's still going strong. I'm not missing a day. I'm going on holiday. I'm taking the portable turntable with me, so you'll be seeing me scratching in various places in the north of England, and the family have agreed to let me take it in order to complete this 365 days challenge I've set myself. Anyway, we're going to get on with this interview. So please enjoy. This is Zardonic on DJ Force 10 in Conversation.
All right, sounds good. Well, in that case, man, whenever you want. I'm not sure if this is already recording. Just let me know. How should I proceed? What do you want to...
Well, it's already recording. To be perfectly
Okay.
honest with you, I just sort of like the way I do these things is it's very like conversation based. So however it starts, wherever it goes, it's kind of whatever happens, if you will.
I like that. That's perfect because that makes the best interviews, I think. When it's too like, "Well, tell us something about your new record." I'm like, oh my God, again, you know what I mean? So why do you wear a mask? I'm like, no, fuck that. So I think it's ideal, I guess, in some way that I have a beer in my hand right now and we're just talking.
That's all good. So, why do you wear the mask?
All right, I'll go ahead. I'll go ahead and answer you that one.
It's all right.
Fair enough. It's everyone's favorite question. I mean, I guess it started. To be honest, like there wasn't anything special about it in the beginning. I just really wanted people to remember it.
Yeah.
Because the mask is based in a logo. Okay. So I wanted people to remember the logo the same way that they would remember, for example, Carl Cox. His logo is his own face. So it actually started kind of like that. I was trying to make a logo out of my face, but of course I wasn't a very good designer back then. Now I can do some decent stuff, but I could never put my face in that way. Yeah. And I thought, well, I'm going to see if I can turn this into something else. And eventually I started playing around and it became this logo that everybody knows now. And so I was like, okay, I started using it in my shows. I would just wear jackets with the logo in the back and that kind of stuff. And it looked cool. But at some point I realized, no, I want to take this to the next level. So the logo clearly looks like a mask. So why the hell not just wear a mask instead? And that's what I did. I found someone that could do a mask for me. She was an old lady that did costumes for theatrical whatnots in my hometown. It was pretty interesting. She did it in fabric at first. It was first intended to be sort of a lucha libre character, kind of like the same vibe as the bloody beetroots of sorts. And the first time I put the mask on and I looked at myself in the mirror, that's when I realized this is going to be something much bigger than I think. I mean, in the sense of the meaning it portrays. It's not just a mask anymore. Like this thing has some power that I'm still trying to understand. So when that's basically, that was the starting point. Then I played a show in Caracas with Dimmu Borgir. That was a pretty big show. It was the first time that I wore the mask, and I think it left a pretty interesting impression because I was like this DJ opening for a legendary black metal band, and of course a lot of bands were so pissed off. Pissed off.
I can imagine. I've been in those shoes, so it's it's.
Yeah, they get all like, "Oh, the DJs are taking our gigs." I'm like, bullshit.
Yeah,
whatever. But I was so happy about it. Like, I'm not usually. I don't get so easily affected. I think these days people need to learn again to grow thick skin.
Yeah.
So, like, these things can destroy someone from a newer generation. I mean, I'm kind of guilty of I was born in 1985, so I guess I'm technically a millennial, but there's so many things that I don't seem to relate to. I mean, these are all stereotypes, but they're stereotypes for a reason. There's some people that do seem to fit the pattern, and in many ways I don't. Because I was born and raised in Venezuela. Venezuela is a country where, if you get fat, people will greet you like, "Hey, what up, fag?" They're literally, we call each other fags.
Yeah.
It's like a friendly thing, even though these days this word is so almost forbidden.
Yes.
I don't care. But anyways, that's what they do. They'll be like, "Holy shit, man, you look like we have this friend, for example, he's a death metal vocalist, really great guy. He's a friend that I cherish like a brother. No lie. He just had a son, and he told me, like, you're an uncle now. And I was crying my eyes out. Like, it was this beautiful thing. So we are really connected in that level. This guy, we used to call him Meat Planet. That's the kind of shit we come up with. So
Nice.
it's like, they force you to hear all this really terrible things. So you have no choice but to grow a thicker skin, because if you get mad, people will just be worse with you.
Yeah.
And until the point you realize, okay, there's just no point in getting mad. So you start, you start joking around with people as well. So I guess that helped me.
Mm-hmm.
But in any case, I went a little off topic.
Oh, no, that's all good. It's all good.
It's good material. So I was just going to say that the reason why the mask is not fabric anymore was because it was stolen in a gig in Portugal.
Okay.
And then I was like, I got really angry about it, but instead of like, just, I still wanted to find the guy who break his fucking legs, but I figured I'm going to take this energy and use it put it into creative mode. And I was like, okay, instead of doing another fabric mask, I'm going to take this to the next level, and I'm going to do a glass fiber mask. Was the first one that I had after that.
Yeah.
And it looked okay. Then I made it look better, and so on and so forth, with different designers, different creatives, and now I got the one you see now. So cool. I guess that's the story so far.
Okay, that's cool. So where was I going to go? You have like you've already said, you kind of come from a black metal background. You have that. Oh, hello.
I'm here.
Oh, you're here. Sorry, I heard a beeping.
Yeah, you know what? Let me do something, because I think it might be because it's switching from Wi-Fi to mobile network.
Okay.
Now it's just a mobile network, and the Wi-Fi is still very good. So just go ahead.
Yeah, no worries. I was just gonna say, you come from that black metal background, like you said. You open for Dimmu Borgir, and you've got that in your musical style. You've got the metal sound, and you've got the bass of the dance music in there. What was your because obviously I'm in the same kind of mindset, I believe. I have I've played your stuff for years, to be honest with you.
Thank you so much.
You actually sent me a bunch of remixes and stuff as well a couple of years back.
Yeah, I remember that. It's still good to know that I have someone like you supporting it.
Yeah, and I was just wondering where your sort of inspiration comes from, where you kind of crossed over those sounds, because like say from the sort of black metal background, it is quite different from the sort of big club dance hall place.
Yeah, they're pretty much, I think, completely opposite philosophies.
Yeah,
in a way.
And I was just sort of wondering where you sit with that. Where's your where did you sort of, when did you choose to take that path?
Well, the thing that happened was basically I always had in mind this goal that I wanted to do nothing but music when I was younger. And these days the goal is the same, except maybe I've taken that into different directions. Like I'm also working as a mixing engineer, producer for other artists and whatnot. If anything you can think of, from black metal to country, I don't mind. If someone has talent and they need a good mix, I'm there. I'm happy to do it. It's something that I just did like a quick master for a friend of mine who has a reggae band. It's like nothing. The funny thing is, he's also got a black metal background, but for some reason he's got a reggae band.
Fair enough.
And it's, it's like nothing like I would thought I would ever work with. Yeah. But there I did it, and it just made me so happy to be able to take that and make it sound better and give it to him, and he was happy. The whole band was happy. So I'm able to put my skills at the service of people. It doesn't matter in which direction. I might have some limits. I don't think I'll ever do reggaeton unless somebody puts like a really, really, really juicy check on my lap. But I'm not. That shit was big in Venezuela 20 years ago. I had enough of it, and now it's a trend in Europe.
Yeah,
it's terrible. So, anyways, the reason, I guess, sorry, not the reason. The one thing that happens to me usually when I am in that limbo between metal and drum and bass, as I said, I did several projects, and I figured, okay, whichever project gets the most attention, that's the one I'm going to go for. But I made sure that I tried several projects with different music styles that I knew I liked and I enjoyed producing. And this was anything from black metal and industrial to drum and bass and even minimal techno. Funny enough, I thought the minimal techno project was going to take off, and it didn't. Instead, it was the heavy drum and bass. So... But I think the signature of Zardonic, even though like Anti-Hero is a very metal-fueled album, at the end of the day, Zardonic is still a drum and bass act. I'm thinking maybe of doing a live show of sorts so I can play the more metal stuff. But I really, really enjoy the sound of drum and bass. Like the original UK drum and bass scene sound, or even the older American stuff, early 2000s, late 90s, like I'm all about that stuff. So, and I realized, this is a pretty fast-paced dance music genre. It makes perfect sense to mix it with metal. And that's what I started doing, and it took off somehow. I mean, naturally, there were some things that I'm not sure if I should have done it or not, but I did it because I wanted to. It wasn't like I didn't mean to offend anybody. But for example, there's this really old bootleg remix that I did of Bathory's Equimanthorn song, which is like this black metal classic that nobody should touch. And I just went ahead and did that. Somebody uploaded it on YouTube, and there was so much hate. Like everybody was so... I think I'm sure like Quorthon is probably like revolving in his grave, like how the fuck does this guy even think about that? So obviously stuff like that, or that's not paying my rent. But on the other hand, some of the remixes of this is something that I didn't do on purpose. It's kind of like I let life tell me what's up. I just go with the flow, even so it sounds a little cliche, but I do what I do, and I do it because I love it. And eventually, just to give you an example, I would have loved to live off just doing Cannibal Corpse remixes or D-side remixes, or like this was my stuff. Morbid Angel, this is my stuff. Yeah. But on the other hand, I had bands like Sonic Syndicate calling me for remixes, Bullet for My Valentine. So these are not the bands that I would usually listen to, but these are the people who are open-minded enough to have a dance music DJ remix them, and they were like, well, there's nobody better than this guy because he's been doing the whole metal and drum and bass thing for 15 years. So, I mean, what am I going to say to that? No, this isn't like old school death metal. Then I am doing the exact same thing that these people are doing to me. So I figured I'm just going to go with the flow. So eventually the sound drifted a little bit more into I mean, at the end of the day, it's dance music. It has to have a dance factor to it. So you cannot twerk to Behemoth. You know what I mean?
Well, you could try.
You could try. It's probably going to make, it's probably going to be meme material,
yes.
but in the real world, it's probably nothing that would get me any shows or anything like that. Even though if Behemoth would ever come to me and ask me for a remix, I would probably still be happy to do that. I know they like experimenting, so it's not an impossible idea.
Yeah.
But it would probably not be, when it comes to my approach to remixes, it depends on the original band. So if I have a band like Bullet for My Valentine, which has like more catchy riffs, then I'm able to do something that is more dance floor friendly. But if I had a band like Behemoth, which is more experimental and violent, then obviously the remix is not going to be, it's also not going to be dance floor friendly. Mm-hmm. So the remixing thing and the whole combining electronic with metal, it's still something that adapts to the original sound and respects the original sound in a way. But I mean, if you ask me about, what is more successful in terms of numbers, I don't think we should only measure success in terms of YouTube plays, but sadly, if you're making this your job, then I have my own set of songs that I've done that are not very popular on YouTube or Spotify, but I still did them, and I'm happy I did them because I enjoy it.
Yeah.
And then there's the songs that have a lot of plays, like Takeover. Like I knew that thing was going to be a hit since I did it, and it was meant to be that, and that's what it became. So you still need, if you're making a business out of music, sadly, or whatever way you want to put it, you still need that. So obviously, the black metal part is, when you ask me, like, where do you stand in the middle of black metal and dance music? It's eventually more dance music than it is black metal, but by any means.
Yeah. Yeah, no, like I said, I was kind of in the same sort of situ as you. When I was younger, I was in a band for a good 10 years. I was actually the DJ in the band, in a sort of new metal band.
All right.
But yeah, no, we did. No, just sort of like being the DJ in a band was there was a lot of hate even in that genre when new metal was kind of it kind of needed the DJ to become.
Yeah, absolutely. I was about to say, new metal is a great combination with dance music. I'm not guilty to admit it, No,
so. But it was just one of those things. It was like, I was sort of on the stage, and generally most people go like, "Oh, that's pretty cool," because you're scratching away and making all these sounds, and I was just like, but the sort of like the general sort of like disdain for the DJ. In that, I could just about. I mean, the black metal genre obviously it's a little more aggressive than the new metal side of things. Yeah, but absolutely. It's I was just sort of like just thinking back when I was in this band, and it was there was a lot of a lot of disdain for it, and it was like doing interviews with magazines and stuff, and them kind of taking the piss out of you for being this DJ or whatever, and I'm just like, well, you have no idea exactly what I do. You have, if I wasn't there, you wouldn't have this like certain element to the music, and it just sort of, and eventually, people sort of came around to it and stuff like that. But yeah, no, that just coming from the sort of the lighter side of the metal genre, there was enough hate on there, but I can't imagine like the black metal side of it. So.
Yeah, I know it was terrible, but I guess the one thing that I think it's cool, but at the same time I'm not sure if I like it, is like some people, like right now there seems to be like a niche for the metal and electronic music hybrids. I mean, this is actually something that has been there forever. Like people just seem to forget about Ministry or something, or even if you think, of course this wasn't like a DJ kind of thing, but even if you go as far back as Pink Floyd, we're talking about people who were still mixing electronic sounds, even though if it was just synthesizers. You can take that back as far as you want to the 1913s, and what was the name? Luigi Russolo, I think, was one of the first classical composers that experimented with electroacoustic instruments, and he was effectively integrating noises into the music. And this goes as far back as 1913. So I think just people seem to forget a lot of history, but whatever. At the end of the day, the truth is I do what I do because I like it, and I don't really, if there's hate, I guess it's entertaining. It's something to consider, but it's not like, it doesn't define me. It's not like, oh my God. Yeah. It's like, oh my God, these people hate me because I did a Bathory remix. I don't care. I did an official Gorgoroth remix and they love it. That's all I need. Like, if you can get me the whole underground black metal scene telling me, oh, they hate the fact that there's a DJ doing a Gorgoroth remix. If fucking Gorgoroth likes a remix that I did, like, fuck you. You know what I mean? So I don't mind. I do what I do because I like it, and some people like it, some people don't. The people who like it thankfully there are enough people so I can get enough money to pay my dues, and those who don't like it, well, my salary doesn't depend on them, so whatever.
So when it comes to your live sets and stuff, do you, because I've never actually been able to see you. You have, I think, played nearby, but I've never been able to sort of get out, and you're playing again in a couple of weeks, actually. In Bradford. Now I'm back in England. But no, I was wondering, in your live sets, do you bring in that sort of metal element and things? Is it, or is it just sort of the more sort of big room, sort of heavy drum and bass?
No, it's more like, imagine a heavy drum and bass set, but of course, like I said, the metal element always has to be there. So there's a bit of, you have a like 60% straight heavy drum and bass, like stuff like Audio and the older Freak recording stuff, which I really, really like, Line Wax. And then there's stuff like the Panacea and the Heartway, which, well, the Heartway is no more, but there was this really interesting project that guys from Prospect put together, Thrasher, Bongra, and Line Wax. And this is the sound that I found, it works for the dance floor, and it also works for my signature sound.
Yeah.
But, as I was mentioning, I am planning at some point, it's not done yet, but I'm planning at some point to bring some sort of live element. Maybe me DJing some of the tracks and then having a guitarist and a vocalist, something to make it interesting, to take it to the next level, because that's a market that I want to tap into. Because I realize some of my music, there's a lot of people who like my music that they're not really into raves or any sort of dance music events. Like, I mean, to be fair, this event that I'm going to play in Bradford, which is actually, I got another story about that. It's actually going to be the first time that I play in the United Kingdom.
Okay.
And I'll get into that in a minute of why it's the first time, even though it should have been the third time. But anyways. This is not a dance music event by any means. It's an industrial event. Like, there's going to be, they got like, I don't know, Nitzer Ebb. Holy shit. I just saw them live at the Amphi Festival. As amazing as anybody who is into that kind of sound would expect it to be. Great show, great music. And of course, they have live synthesizers and sequencers. Like, I am still a DJ set. I'm not really ashamed of it, but that is just a format that makes it the easiest for me. Because I am still, the purpose of the set is still to make people dance, bang their heads, whatever. It's to move people. And the best way to bring the sound, the exact sound that I have in the studio, to a live audience is through a DJ set. Yeah. That's something that I maybe have to come to terms with. There's something that I sometimes don't like about live shows. Seeing a lot of bands live that I like myself, and I guess I am too much of a perfectionist. Like, there's some bands that I see that just completely wow me, and they do a great job. But I am like, I guess I am too close-minded in the fact that I want to hear the record, you know what I mean? And then there's like, well, why did he do a different solo? It's like, but of course, then I have to tell myself it's a fucking live show. Of course, it's going to be different. So I'm starting to come to terms with that, and I realize, the live aspect of it, of course, still adds something very special to it. I even tried a set with the vocalist from Chemist, and it was a major success. Everybody went crazy. I realized, shit, like I should at least have a guy singing on top of my set. At least that. So why not then just add a guitar and stuff like that? So it's coming eventually.
Cool.
But yeah, this show, it should be, as I said, it should have been my second or third show in the UK, but it's actually my debut show. I think this is something that's going to be really interesting for the interview. I had nothing but problems trying to get into the UK, and I have no idea why.
Oh.
I have no idea what the policies are, which government I am supposed to blame. Oddly enough, all the times in the past I was never let in. This time I am, and I know some people don't really like the current government, but I don't want to get too much into that, because I am still not a citizen of the UK or a resident of the UK, so I cannot formulate an opinion unless I live there and I know what is good and what is bad, and if the EU is actually this beautiful thing that I think it is, or if there's actually some flaws, or if this prime minister is better than the previous one, or whatever. It's a big mess. But the first time I was supposed to go to the UK, the first time I was actually just transiting. It was a flight from Slovakia to Lisbon, but I bought it as part of a whole flight leg. I spent almost 2,000 euros with flights because it was the cheaper way just to get all the flights all in one.
Yeah.
And the only problem with that is, like, if you miss one flight, that you cannot get on the rest of the leg. But I did not expect this to happen. And when I'm in Slovakia, they see my passport and they're like, where's your UK visa? I'm like, I don't need a UK visa for transit. No, you do. And then I show them a website, www.gov.uk. It has the logo of the crown, the keep calm thing. And you could, they had like this questionnaire, but you would just put in all your information, like citizenship, residence, blah, blah, blah. What are you doing in the UK? Transit. Are you staying in the UK for more than 24 hours? No. Are you going through border control? Yes. You do not need a visa to enter the United Kingdom for transit for less than 24 hours. Okay, cool. They let me in the plane, and I get to the UK, and they put me in this really, really long queue, which is where, there's this green queue where all the people who have like EU passports and whatnot can go through, and Americans and whatnot. And then there is the people they put on the C list, so to say, Venezuela, Colombia, and because in the first world we're just cocaine dealers. There's absolutely no more depth to our culture, just that, or just jungle and bananas. So what am I gonna do? It is what it is. Anyways, this lady stops me and she says, well, you need a visa. I'm like, no, I don't. She said, are you trying to tell me that you don't need a visa? I am the border control person. I know what you need and what you don't need. I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to offend anybody. It's just like there's this website right here, and I show her the website, and I do the whole questionnaire in her face. And she's like, well, that's not the information we got here. You need a visa. You cannot get through. End of. And they put me in a room with a guy that was wanted for ransom.
Oh.
And they kept me there for 10 hours. Oh, yeah. It was amazing. They gave me a lot of bourbon cookies and tea. I mean, I'll never forget that. And they did say, like, they had the duty of basically giving me whatever I wanted from this menu that they had. So I had some pasta, whatever, Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah.
My kidnappers were nice to me, so whatever. I ended up having like a really nice chat with them, and we laughed. And then when I got back home, I realized what the fuck did just happen. They sent me back to Slovakia. They didn't let me go through to Portugal. I lost the money from the flights. There was no way to sue them, no way to get anything. And that was the first time that I had that was my first altercation with the UK. The second time was actually for a show that was supposed to happen in 2016, the Resistance Festival.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Same thing. They said that I was going to get a visa within 2 weeks, and that didn't happen. The decision-making center, I cannot believe you have an institution called the Decision-Making Center. It's a center that reminded me of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah,
it was so... Oh, my God. So anyways, the decision-making center kept my passport for longer than I expected. And I came back. First of all, the passport came back well after the date of the festival, and also well after another weekend that I had in Europe, because we had a couple of promoters from Slovakia and Poland who wanted to take advantage of the fact that I was going to be in this side of the lake.
Yeah.
And I lost 3 gigs because of that. Wow. And my passport came back with a denied visa because the decision-making center was not convinced that this was a UK registered organization inviting me. So it was actually, I'm not sure if it was because of them or because of the Resistance Festival or because of the paperwork. I had no idea what they needed, but yeah. And now it's the 3rd time. And, we have a saying in Venezuela, it goes a la tercera va la vencida, which means the 3rd time is something like the 3rd time is the one that is supposed to work or something like that. Yeah. So, yeah, according to that Venezuelan saying, this is the 3rd time, and I got my entry permit. It's not even, they don't even call it a visa. It's an entry permit, but it's happening. Yes, I am coming to Infest Festival UK on the 24th of August to Bradford. There's going to be no hassle, hopefully.
That's going to be good. So I've got a bunch of friends going to that, and they are excited to see you. So they because I DJ a rock club as well, and often play takeover and things like that, and I've had people asking who this is, so I've been passing that on. And
that's amazing. Thank you.
And I've got a bunch of people basically going to that show. I really want to go, but I'm actually on a family holiday. So
fair enough, man. Family is first. I respect that.
Yeah, no, that's the I was I can't argue with that. So it's like,
yeah, I hear you.
But no, I do want to catch you next time, either in UK or if I'm over in Europe or whatever. Are you actually a resident in Germany now? Is that your base of operations?
I am at the moment based in Germany, even though the plan is to move at some point to Italy. There's something I realized living in Germany, which is I had a lot of great things from Germany that I cannot complain. Great things. This is an amazing country where I met amazing people, really, really hardworking people that you can count on. When people say something, they do it, which is not a luxury that you find in a lot of places like in America, for example, people are used to saying yes to everything and then they don't do it. So doing business the American way has been a little difficult for me. I spent some time there. It was cool, but I always had this issue, like, why is this guy saying yes if he's just not doing it? I mean, I have no problem if you say no to me, son. Just don't waste my fucking time. It's that easy. But yeah, and then they'll come with like an apology email after you email them 3 times. Like, we're terribly sorry that we'll not be able. We're being extremely busy, but we would love to see you next time. We will email you back when we're able to do it, and then nothing happens.
Yeah,
there's just no way.
The term I always like was as it turns out. It's like, it's not like no, we can't, or this. It's like, as it turns out, actually, this isn't going to be possible. It's just like, really?
Yeah. Exactly. They take it to like they seem to blame this. They're like blaming this sort of abstract entity. It's not like, oh, we're not going to do it, or it's not going to be possible. Like regardless of the reason being, you don't want to do it. It's not going to be possible. But different cultural codes, I guess.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I realized in Germany that kind of affected me somehow, and these are just personal things that I discovered from experience. Like I had no idea. Man, I was born and raised in Venezuela. You know, the noise floor outside is much higher. People are used to yelling to each other, even saying friendly things. Like, you find a friend who is like at the other side of the street, and you'll yell his name and tell him to come over, and you have a bunch of beers. And Venezuelan conversations consist of everybody talking and nobody listens to anybody. so I don't know, realize like at some point, I mean, I lived 3 years in the States, 2 years here in Germany, and I realized like shit, like I really miss this kind of stuff. So I mean, I now have the luxury of being able to choose a different country within the EU. So Italy seems to be a beautiful choice. Italy is actually the most Venezuelan country in the whole of EU, even more than Spain. The Italians have this thing like they are always joking, even about like the darkest things you can imagine. There's no political correctness at all, and that's perfect because it fits this whole story I told you about being born and raised in Venezuela. How people will just say things to your face, and there's no filter. So I found that somehow there, and yeah, so that's the plan so far. Cool. But in any case, I will be based in the EU for the time being. So if you have any plans, you can let me know. I mean, Rome is still like 2-hour flight from Cologne, maybe 3-hour flight from the UK. So it's not a big issue.
No. I mean, I enjoy traveling, so it's one of those things where I do like to, occasionally, if I can, go somewhere other than the UK. Obviously, like I said, I lived in the States for a bit. I've lived in the UK for the majority of my life, but doing that jump and sort of like taking the family with me was huge. So, and it kind of didn't extinguish the bug for traveling. So,
yeah, the UK is a beautiful place, mind you. Like, I would have loved to actually been able to enter it before, and hopefully I can go later as a tourist, even because like, holy shit, like, I feel I'm missing out. Every single picture I see from every single corner of it is just mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Like, England, Scotland, Wales, Ireland, everything is like, holy shit. It's really, I mean, I guess that's what you get when you have a country that was like literally almost untouched by the war. So
Yes.
over here, a lot of people had to start again. And, some places look wonderful, like Amsterdam or Rotterdam, but there's other places which are like, was not really much to see. But the UK, like, every time, I mean, I've been always fascinated since I was a child by, I guess you can call it medieval architecture.
Yeah.
If it's something you can say.
Yeah, I think I just like Gothic architecture. I think they generally label it as.
Yeah.
I
just know like Gothic is like a specific part of it, but
yeah.
But everything in general, when I see like castles and old rocks and shores with another castle on top and stuff, like I don't know, man, it's fascinating to me because these were things that we would usually see only in history books, and now seeing it. So I feel every time I am in Europe, anywhere, like Germany, Czech Republic, Moscow, Jesus Christ, like I feel like I am in Disneyland. So I'm a huge fan of all that stuff.
Yeah, no, same here. I love Prague is actually one of my favorite places in the Czech Republic.
Like, it's beautiful.
And it's just architecturally, I'm just like astounded. I've got like photos and just memories. Like it made me appreciate it a little bit more living in because I was in Florida, so there isn't much history.
Yeah, I hear you.
So,
it does has its charm though. Like I remember,
it does.
Florida, I would guess, was like the most Venezuelan place you can find in the States, because I think it's like, at least in Miami, in this area, Fort Lauderdale and all that stuff, I think the vast majority of the people who live there, if I am not mistaken, they speak Spanish.
Yes, they do.
So even the English-speaking people, they seem to be more like us. Like, they'll stop somewhere with you, and then they have a beer, and they'll take out a beer and drink it with you, even though they don't know you. It seemed pretty friendly in that regard.
Oh no, it is very friendly, and there is a big like Spanish and Portuguese community. I was based in Tampa, so you've got like the Cuban Quarter and stuff like that there, and home of the Cuban sandwich, apparently.
Absolutely. Did you go to St. Petersburg in Florida?
Yeah, that's where I was. I was based there for the first year we were there. We were actually living in St. Pete.
Okay.
And then we moved up into Tampa, into Hillsborough County, which was like sort of that area there. But yeah, no, St. Pete. I went to basically I went to loads of like shows there. They had a bunch of bands playing in the sort of like the various venues they had there, like Deftones and Arctic Monkeys and stuff like that.
Oh my god, that's wonderful.
But you've got Ybor City as well, where you've got the castle and stuff like that, which is where all the goth new wave and like EBM type club and stuff was there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, St. Pete was amazing because that's where my wife actually worked as well, so she went there every day. So she was right on the sort of like the waterfront, if you will. There was an office block there where it kind of overlooked the water and everything, and it was like a mini Monaco, I think they called it.
Yeah. That is true. I really enjoyed it. I think it was one of my favorite places there. I thought, if I was to stay in the States, I thought I would probably, if I was to choose a place, I would probably choose Florida, somewhere in Florida, like probably not northern Florida though, because it's a very different place.
It is a very different place.
Yeah. It's I think northern Florida, like I think Alabama should absorb that.
Yes.
Yeah. But everything that they offered me was also great. Like I said, like I have no negative memories. Just a thing of preference and certain like cultural customs that you're used to. But not even Germany. Like it's not like I can say I don't have like this huge list of negative things. If anything, I have nothing but I can be nothing but thankful for all the lessons that I learned here, all the great things that I got for myself that I can now apply even in other countries, and now I have the upper hand. Like the Germans have this really special way of dealing with people, which is very direct but very respectful.
Yeah.
So this even works for me in a place like Italy where people are just used to just yelling at each other. So I sometimes there, like I do things the German way, and I smile and I calm down and I keep my cool. And then I realize like people lower their guards, and people lower their guard, and it works. Like I usually get a lot of things done, and people look at me like, "How do you do that?" I'm like, just don't pick your battles. It's that easy.
Yeah.
So that's something I learned here.
Cool. Excellent. That's really cool. Like I said, I'm gonna try and catch you if you come to the UK, and I'm not on a family holiday.
Yeah. Fair enough. No worries, man.
Yeah, no, because I only purely on the basis that the radio show that I run and the sort of like the music that I play when I'm DJing it's your music, it's the industrial music, it's the heavy dance music, mixed with various sort of like nu metal, floor filler, usual stuff you sort of might hear in a club that's popular.
All right,
but no, because it's a rock club, and I've got another DJ with me as well, Jez, who's very much into the industrial side of things as well. So we generally have a good time with that. But
that sounds great. Anytime, man. And if you know what, if you ever think like, I mean, I know this kind of stuff can be difficult because it takes a lot of time and organization, but like, man, if you ever have a budget for some sort of special party, if you want to book me over there, like, I mean, my agent is in the UK, so you can just speak to him, and you will understand each other in the same customs.
Okay.
So yeah, shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, no, I'll
really, really nice people, friendly people.
Excellent. No, I'll definitely do that because I've we are sort of planning, because we do it every month, you see, so we do plan like ahead of what we need to do or what we want to do, like theme nights and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, no, that would be cool getting you in. Is the contact on your website or is it on your Facebook?
It should be, but in case it's not, usually when you send a message to my Facebook page, you get an automatic reply.
Yes.
Because these days, I mean, I don't know. I still check every now and then, but man, I can't be bothered. Like social media is just eating my time, and I'm like, I got so much stuff to do. So I just, that's why I rely on that stuff. I know sometimes it's not very nice, but if people actually follow the message, what it says, like you pretty much, you have my personal email is there, and then the email of the agency, like for shows, stick to these people. And if you need anything else, just talk to me. And then, well, as this interview happened, if I'm not mistaken, you did that, and then you emailed me. So
I did. I knew I had your email address as well, so I don't know why I went through Facebook, but I was just like,
it's all good. Here we are. I'm glad we made it happen.
No, it's good. I've been actually wanting to get you on for a while since you actually released your album last year. Actually, before that as well, to be honest with you. Because I've spoken to like Cell Dweller, Blue Starly. I've gone through the majority of the fixed roster as well. And you've always
owe those guys a lot.
Yeah, you've kind of come up in conversation, and obviously I was aware of you just like through doing remixes of metal tracks, and then finding that you actually do your own tracks as well, which you sent me. And then through my various like press send outs that I got your album like last year. And,
all right.
I can't remember who it was through, because it's Entertainment One, isn't it? The distribution. And I can't remember who the UK press agent was.
Probably Cygnus.
Probably. I can't. I'd have to look up in my emails, but yeah, I got sent that, and obviously that's when I heard like Takeover and all that kind of stuff. But no, I've been wanting to get you on the show for a while because we share the same sort of the same sort of like passions for the various like music genres and the crossing over of said music genres. And it's what I base my radio show on, you know, and that's how I found out I found out about Heavy Grinder, who also like just through remixes and stuff. I heard them first on a radio show in the States. There was this mix show that's kind of like my show, but they kind of did more sort of hip hop type remixes of rock tracks. But it was on like whatever Clear Channel rock show or rock station there was out there.
Yeah, those guys are great people. Great, they make the engineering is on point as well.
Yeah. No, I really enjoy it, and like the remixes they produce, along with their original stuff as well. I've played like various tracks on the show, and a big big one for like my club and stuff was the Deftones remix they did of Tempest, I think it was. And they're just like going through and like following the thread, if you will, and finding. Obviously, we got the Chemists over here, but through them, I felt like before them it was Collisions, Seething Akira, who are all these like bands that have this crossover sound. And going back as well, like bands like Pitch Shifter and like you mentioned earlier, Ministry, and like Nine Inch Nails, stuff like that. The kind of like
exactly. Ones. It's like it seems to be like it's a sound that wanted to happen for such a long time, and it's like I still don't understand how so many people can be so rejecting of it or reluctant to it, because it's like it's nothing. I'm sure like there's new ways to do it, just the same way as metal has evolved.
Yeah.
But it's been there. Like it's almost like something meant to happen. Even to me, it even makes more sense than hip hop and metal. As a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Like I enjoy some hip hop stuff, namely mostly Spanish and Latin American artists. Like I listen to some really, really good ones, but I can see how it worked and I can see why, but to me, the heavy electronic music and metal, I don't know. I think the synergy between those two seems to make more sense, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, they had the kind of like, they were obviously the industrial movement that kind of happened, which it kind of got put under with the likes of Nine Inch Nails, Ministry, things like that, VMV Nation and all those other guys as well, the kind of more electronic sort of dark wave sound. But yeah, no, the sort of like big room sort of mixing of that, like I say, with groups like, I mean, Pitch Shifter I adored from, like they started off as a heavy industrial band on Earache, the label Earache, and they went on to sign to like a major label and have a bit more of a sort of a like electronic sort of punk sound, which then the sort of Prodigy kind of had as well. At that same time, and obviously the Prodigy made it work for them because they blew up completely. They were big before, but they got bigger when they did that crossover. But occasionally you get bands come through like Pendulum, stuff like that kind of do mix the two elements together, and
it works.
And it works.
I miss that so much, man. Like I have to admit, like I think that's something that I really liked about the 90s. Like there was a lot of really successful music that was really edgy, you know, like I think even some of the pop bands, like if you want to talk about, I don't know, the Backstreet Boys, for example.
Yeah.
Hey, those guys were singing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At least those guys were singing. They were dancing their asses off. They were doing something interesting. Like it wasn't my thing, but I was like, if you compare that to what's going on now, like commercial music has just taken like this toll on the quality. It's retarded. I don't understand. Like, why does it have to sound like that? Why does everything have to be so dumb? That's the word. It's really dumb. I don't get it. I don't like Jesus Christ. If you think back to Michael Jackson, who's like one of the most successful artists of all time, holy shit, like his lyrics, man, his lyrics were like really, really deep. They were onto something. The show was unbelievable. He was probably the world's greatest dancer by my knowledge. So why did everything become so dumbed down? It's something that I will never understand.
I think it's just one of those. It's like with any business, if they can find it to do it like cheaper and have a similar effects, they're going to do it. And I think with like the music industry, the way it's kind of evolved, because it's always had that kind of like trashy pop element to it that has that does do reasonably well. I mean, the UK, they had their fair share. They called it the 80s, and which is now huge. You know, everyone loves those bands from back then. But you know, I've spoken to various artists from various sort of like genres of music. I mean, last week I spoke to Tiffany, who did the track I Think We're Alone Now, back in like the late 90s, early 90s.
That does ring a bell.
I mean, she was huge. She was massive. It was like a big one hit. She had other songs as well, but it was a different era. That was kind of like you had this person who they could send out to shopping malls who could send out and be kind of like a teen idol. But she could sing. She had a voice. It wasn't like an auto-tuned and then someone in a costume kind of, dancing around. But now you've got the element, you've got things like, the technology to make sort of anything that you want to make and then market. Regardless of what like effects are used, or if you want to blame auto-tune or whatever or anything like that, the process basically has become easier. Is less people involved, so that means more money at the end of it. And I think if they can knock out something, market it on YouTube, it gets 1 million views, and then obviously they track back advertising revenue, and and it pays for itself and more, and then on to the next one. It's like
that is actually a very reasonable reasoning.
Yeah, I mean, just watching and like listening to sort of the various artists I've spoken to and actually experiencing it myself, like being in the music industry, it is one of those things where in my band, for instance, we released our album just before the sort of the digital switch, if you will.
Yeah.
So initially the CD sold pretty well. And then it was sort of, you've got to get your stuff on iTunes, you've got to get your stuff on the formats that were back then, not many of them. But then we found out that a lot of the torrent sites had it. So people were downloading our music for nothing. And that you had to really rethink what you were doing, because it was like you were not going to make money from the music itself. You have to evolve, you have to move, you have to find out how to survive without that income. And it turned out, live shows, merchandise, stuff like that will cover you to a certain degree if you're playing good shows. And as long as you are playing good shows, you'll be fine. If you're playing any show for nothing, for exposure, then you're not going to get, anything, because exposure money doesn't pay your rent. So, but no, just being on that cusp, it was that kind of reinvention. And a lot of artists that have actually benefited from it. They've figured it out before the record industry did. Certainly before my band did. And it's sort of it's kind of good to see. There's sort of, there isn't that big big talent anymore that you kind of, like you say, like a Michael Jackson or anything like that. You've got a lot of like a level playing field of releases. So as long as it's down to the publicity that you get, and it's how you get that, I guess, how you get that publicity. Because you could make a killer album, and I've listened to a few, but if no one hears it, then you've got to turn those ears on, if you will.
Yeah, that's true. I think it's funny you mentioned this aspect of the everything becoming cheaper and whatnot. I guess sadly, because this comes from someone who, I'm somewhere in between the left and the right when it comes to the the political spectrum, and the up and down too, because people forget there's also that side of things. Like if you get too much left and up, you might as well not be left wing at all. But if you go left and down, then you're probably in a better place. But there's capitalism, whether we like it or not, has helped for millennia, I think. Well, not for millennia, but for many centuries, to create great music. Like if you think about it, a lot of these great composers, like talking about like going back to classical music here, like imagine all the amount of money and work and effort that it took just to put together the instruments, just the instruments. Now you have a plugin, you have a VST, and you can have a keyboard for as cheap as £20.
Yeah.
So you connect that to a computer, which everybody has at home, if you don't take that into account. But let's say you don't even need that. Let's say you put £1,000 in a computer. We have a really good computer.
Yeah.
And that's it. And there's freeware. There's all this stuff. Before, just the amount of time and work that went just into putting one instrument together, and then that instrument was part of a whole set of other instruments, which was a standard. There's orchestras that had, I don't know what which is like the minimum number for an orchestra to be called a chamber orchestra, or a symphonic orchestra. I probably need to ask my cousin. I have a cousin that plays the bassoon.
Okay.
And really, really, really well, actually. He plays with the Zurich Orchestra. It's really funny because he's a metalhead at heart as well. So when we meet, like, we just go party and do all this stuff. But I still go to his concerts, and he's, like, amazing at it.
Nice.
And it made me realize, like, all this money that goes behind just putting together the instruments. Like, these instruments are sometimes, even these days, Jesus Christ, like a really good quality violin can go up to 10,000 pounds even. Like, and if you don't even want to go that far, maybe let's just say, okay, I'm going to get a cheap one. I'm going to get a violin that costs me only 1,000 pounds. It's just only 1,000 pounds for one instrument. So you put all this stuff together, then you get the composer. Back in those days, like, some of these composers were making music for kings or monarchs, people who had a lot of money. Like, I want you to make this piece. I'm going to give you this much money. So I'm sure these people were just, they were probably still more interested in the art than the money. But when you get a pretty juicy offer like that, like, who's going to say, like, hey, we're paying you, I don't know how many pieces of gold that may equal, I don't know, 1 million these days. So take as much time as you need and put as much work into it. It's like, okay, I have to please the king. He's giving me this much money. So if I don't do this, he won't give me money, or he'll chop my fucking head off. So, you had this situation where, whether we like it or not, the capital has always been a motivating factor in the progress of society, even in terms of art. So I guess, as you said, like, if everything becomes so cheap, then it loses value. Then people say, why am I supposed to put so much work into making a song if all I have to do is mumble some shit and put a beat behind it and it'll make millions? Yeah. So, yeah, it's like you said it.
It's I mean, it'll turn round. It always does. I mean, if you look at like genres of music, they always come back around again.
I hope so.
So it's one of those things I think will come back. I think there's a lot of scope for that kind of, like, more organic sound.
Yeah.
Not just like rock bands, but from the pop aspect as well. There is an element of what people will want, that quality in their music, because it'll get to a point where you do you'll start hearing how cheap it is. Because they will try getting it less and less and less and less. And then, like, that's why people, wouldn't pay for it, I guess. It's you can, I mean, now stream it, which is good. You pay a monthly fee and you can stream whatever music you want. I mean, I do that. I have a family package for it, so my wife and kids just...
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
Whether for better or worse, I think it's better than people downloading things and Napster or torrents.
Yeah.
So.
No, definitely. What was I going to say? I'm just going to take it back to a point you said earlier with in your sets. I noted it down, but you mentioned the guy Panacea, and I was just going to say I haven't heard that name in about 15 years. I've got. I mean,
he's
vinyl.
still around.
I've got vinyl.
He's still around.
I can't remember what tracks I've got, but I've got 12 inches somewhere in my box just below my feet of his. I used to play a lot of like happy hardcore, DHR, Alec Empire, Terry Teenage Riot, like noise in my sets, and a lot of Gabba, like Techno Head and just like what became Bounce or whatever it was called, I think. But yeah, no, when you said that name, I just like, oh my god, and he's still going.
Yeah. I mean, I know he's he did a lot of industrial stuff back in the day. Yeah. Then jumped on the more drum and bass hardcore stuff. I think he did a techno EP recently. But I'm not sure about the details. Like, it's really sad actually. Now that you mentioned the Panacea, because that's a guy that I had nothing but respect for. But the day we met wasn't very good. Okay. Like, I was expecting some sort of connection happening, or at least some sort of mutual respect, but it didn't happen. I don't know why. I'm not sure if it was something. Either, people say he's a very particular kind of person, or maybe it was something I did. Like, I mean, it's been 6 years. I used to be, everybody evolves. I used to be a very different person. So who knows? Like, I mean, sometimes some things from my past come back to bite me in the ass, and I'm like, yeah, I don't remember why I even said that at that time. Like sometimes I'll see things that I posted a long time ago. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is like, I am not this person. So, I mean, I don't really think so because I don't remember anything. Like, there wasn't a lot of word exchange between us, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, I do remember that he is absolutely a guy that is infamous for his ego, and so was I, to be fair. So as I said, it's something that I just started to really, really look at maybe the last couple of years. I had a lot of really deep life lessons, if you'll call it. So that's why sometimes I don't know. And now I used to just point the finger at everybody and just blame everybody for whatever happened. And now I'm more like, now these are the kind of answers you get from me. Like, maybe I did something and I have no idea. Well, we'll see. But it's still a shame because to me, I mean, especially because of the fact that he lives in Berlin and I'm here. I mean, I remember when I met Raiden. I'm not sure if you remember Raiden, who was a drum and bass producer and DJ back in the day. Yeah. Really, really cool guy.
Yeah.
He's friends with him, and he mentioned when he came to play in Venezuela, I was like, dude, you should totally meet this guy. You guys are like you're almost like brothers from another mother. You need to meet this guy. And I was really excited because I really love his music. So, I would have expected some sort of project to happen, but it didn't. So, yeah, I don't know.
Oh, that's a shame.
No, yeah, I mean, I still play his music because I still think it's badass. But yeah, sadly, he's not on my WhatsApp. I cannot send him emojis.
No.
Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say because I used to play like the sort of hardcore stuff. Yeah, just like not out and about so much. It was more sort of house parties and stuff. It was just sort of a general mess around. But Panacea was one I really liked, along with there was a few on the sort of like digital hardcore label that Alec Empire has or had.
Oh yeah, you're talking my language.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to think of some of the. Nintendo Teenage Robots was a weird EP I got, which was kind of like Noise but made with Game Boys. But I can't remember Ultraviolence. Actually, he was another one. He was on Earache. I keep in contact with him. He's really cool. But yeah, some of the music he used to make as well was stuff I used to play.
What, like Alec Empire?
Like Alec Empire, but Ultraviolence was he did track. I think the big one was like Hardcore Motherfucker. Was the name of the track, but he was on the Earache label back when they sort of had like when they had Pitch Shifter and things like that. But they had he doesn't do it anymore. He's a photographer now, but he used to make. Check him out. I'm just trying to think of the name of the albums. But it's been a while since.
Dude, I think I know what you're talking about. Like industrial heavy electronic metal band from Earache that is now a photographer. You're talking about the Berserker.
No, not the Berserker.
No.
It's his name's John or Jonathan.
Okay, so it's a different person. Because I know Luke from the Berserker. He's exact same story.
Yeah,
he quit the Berserker, and he's like he's a photographer. That's what he does. He's like really good at it. But it's a shame because I used to love that band. Like holy shit, when I heard them for the first time, it was really shocking. It's really funny because it's something you see these days, and it doesn't seem to mean much. But when I saw that video that was supposedly censored on MTV because it was too violent, I was like, holy shit, like that's me. It was really, really, really intense. Anyway, sorry.
No, it's all right. It's all good. But yeah, that was really good. Like, and yeah, just that sort of back in the day. That was what I was doing. But I was going to actually go on to, because I got into like drum and bass as well, because I know you mentioned it earlier, that kind of like 90s UK drum and bass. I got very much into Goldie and like his Metalheads label. So he had like Dillinger.
Oh yeah, man! Everything that Goldie has done, I'm like huge fan of.
Yeah,
America did a great job too. Actually, back in the day, I don't know, the drum and bass scene seemed to be so much bigger in America. These days, it seems to be coming back, but it's still. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting old, and you just stick to the stuff that you used to listen to when you were a teenager. But I miss like, I don't know, Hive, Echo, Gridlock. I know Gridlock is still active. Actually, I met him in 2017 an Imagination Festival. Really, really cool guy. And he's still making sick stuff. You still, of course, have acts like Black Sun Empire who've been around for a long time, and I love the stuff they did, and they love the stuff they do. But you have like people like that who have survived, and Noisia, of course, and then so many more people just went away, and I don't understand why. Like I wish I could hear new tracks by these people bringing the same style. Conquer Dawn, for example. Like that was the sound that I was into, like the really big noisy Reeses, the stuff that sounded like almost like a guitar in a way, because it was like completely filling the whole frequency spectrum, and it had like this really aggressive drums. That's what I liked about it. That's why I think drum and bass and metal fits so well. But because I was referring to that specific style of drum and bass, I love the percussive aspect. Drum and bass is becoming very minimalistic these days. It's I don't know.
It did that back in the like 90s as well. I had I was trying to think. It was kind of like I came out of like got into it sort of coming out of the jungle movement.
Yeah.
So it was quite like there's quite a lot going on in the jungle tracks. It was sort of generally the same sort of beat, percussive, sort of sound you hear, but a lot going on bassline wise. And then it kind of went you kind of got the two-step drum and bass, which is what sort of like dance floor wise was huge. And tracks like Angels Fell, stuff like that, by Dillinger, I really like loved. And then it became a guy called Photek. He did this EP called Nin Ten Chi Ryu. Can't believe I remembered that. But it was like kind of like very minimalistic, with just like various sort of samurai sounds, like a swinging sword and stuff like that. But it went like a lot of sort of like a lot of the metalheads output at that point kind of sort of went a bit more minimalistic. And then you got some sort of like commercial success with a like TV commercial used one of the drum and bass tracks and things, and then it kind of like went away. That's when my sort of collection started to thin out of sort of like drum and bass artists, because then
you cannot seem to find people who are going after that specific sound. I mean, I guess you have Dirty Phonics, I guess, but it's still not quite what I respect them for the success they have, and I think they've done some pretty interesting stuff. I thought Walk in the Fire was cool, but it's still, it sounds very safe. That's the word. Yeah. It sounds safe. There's no edge to it. That's what I'm missing. Like, I don't know. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say with the sort of like when it sort of came back for me was when Renegade Hardware sort of came about, the label. Yeah. And they like released these EPs, and I've got like 5 or 6 of them in my collection. And some of that stuff was dark, some of that stuff was heavy, some of that stuff had like orchestral parts to it, and that's what I was sort of like missing. Was that kind of like you said, that like the edge had gone. But with those EPs and the sort of like subsequently the sort of the groups that have survived that, like Pendulum, I think they released on it, didn't they? And you've got groups like Chase and Status and things like that in the UK. Who are sort of like big arena filling or festival headlining.
Yeah, and now they're trying to bring that old school jungle sound back. I think that's going to be really interesting. Yeah. I'm hoping. I mean, because here's the thing: they can do it. They can get away with doing whatever they want, and it's going to be cool. But it has to. It has to be contagious. Like other producers have to take it back. So if it doesn't happen, then it's still just going to be Chase and Status bringing back the old vibe, and that's going to be it. And they're going to be the only ones being able to do it. I think it still has to how to say, to stick through the scene. So hopefully it happens. I mean, as I said, I'm a guy that just does whatever he wants. So there's still some things that I have to consider, like, okay, maybe I need to do a dance floor friendly track, but still when I do it, it still sounds so much like me. Like, for example, when I did Takeover, like I still wanted something that had impact, that had like some sort of, even if it was a small solo, I still wanted like big arena sounding guitars. And then I had this friend saying like, why are you still doing this metal and rock and drum and bass thing? Like, it's non-existent in the UK. I'm like, I don't fucking care. I mean, to me, maybe I'm doing a hit that could have been bigger in the 2000s, but it still works because at the end of the day, it's still me. Like, I have to be comfortable with what I'm doing, even if I am doing a track that is purposely done to please the dance floor somehow. I have to be happy with it. Like, but as I said, the music just seems to be getting more and more minimalistic. Like, there's this guy that this thing was all over the media. There's a rapper that did a song called Thiago Silva or something, which is, I think, is dedicated to a football player. And I think he was playing at Glastonbury or something. And this kid got on stage and he was able to rap the whole song, and then he got a record deal. I don't have that much of a problem with the kid, but the music's fucking terrible, man.
Yes.
Like, the music's fucking terrible. The track is terrible. There's no bass. There's not even bass anymore. And I'm like, what is this lyric about? There's nothing. I don't know, man. Like, I miss. It really seems like through the 90s and 2000s, all music in general, there seemed to be this edge to it. Like, even with rap, I remember, like, holy shit, like, if you go back to I think these people are still active, but like Immortal Technique, like that stuff had guts, man. Like, it's something that I don't know, it seems to be completely gone. There's no balls to the music anymore, if I am allowed to still use that expression.
Yeah. Please,
unless there's some hashtag MeToo feminist movement after me because I dare to use a masculine expression or something. You see what I mean? Like, this is the world we're living in today. This is, I don't know, but I'm hoping that it will change, and hopefully it will not have hopefully it will not mean, because that's something that I'm also afraid of. Like, I don't want any change that comes with the wrong extremes, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like we need to attack political correctness with a whole wave of right-wing neo-Nazi stuff either. Like, it's why do we have to choose between social justice warriors and neo-Nazis like that? Hell no. I'm sure the whole gamut of choices is much bigger than that. So
no, definitely. So I was going to ask you another thing actually as well. Your partnership with Denon, and their new Prime rig. I got to play on that. When was it? I got back from the States 2017, so I had to think that. And I went to, there's a UK DJ Expo, or there was. It's kind of rebranded now, but it was called BPM. And I've sort of been chatting to one of their like head of sales for a while.
Is it Jay Cunningham?
No, it's I wish I could remember his name. God damn it. I should know his name, but he was like he like part of In Music, which is obviously Newmark, Denon, Rain, everyone now. But he travels around the world and sort of does like various sales things. And I should really remember his name. I want to say Ben, but I can't remember. But yeah, anyway, we were chatting with him, and it was when they just sort of were demoing their sort of the Prime software with their own kit.
Yeah,
and I thought it was amazing. I loved it. I'm a geek for technology. So
they really are like way ahead of the game in many regards. Like, that's why I jumped on that. I realized, like, holy shit, this is really the first contact happened through MC Copa, a really, really good friend of mine. I love that guy. He's like one of the most positive people that I have found in the drum and bass scene. Is just really willing to help everybody, connect everybody. He's just like a guy with this generally good vibe. It's always just having fun. He's a really, really nice guy that I made that I have a really good friendship with. And he connected me with Frank Hun, who's like the Denon DJ representative here in Germany. And this guy is actually like, he listened to my stuff for a long time, and he had this project called the Gianna Brothers. And so he's like, I connected with him like even more. Like, this is a guy that, I don't know, we tell each other stories about ex-girlfriends and stuff like that, and we get drunk together. It's like, really, really love that guy. So it was a really nice thing, because the relationship happened in a genuine way. Like, it wasn't like, oh, I got this brand in front of me that's offering me I don't know how much cash or something. There was none of that involved, because there's a lot of people who have told me, oh, you just sold your soul to dinner. I'm like, no, dude, I'm using this stuff because I like it. And these people, I work with them because I like them. But I mean, obviously, I also have a lot of amazing friends that probably they cannot put together a good mixer. So it still has to be good technology. So when I had the chance to try them, I was like, I was blown away by all the features, because it's so ahead of the curve, and it works for me better because I don't know, it seems to be more. To me, it feels more like an instrument, at least if you make good use of all the hot cues. The fact that all the hot cues are right in front of you, laid out like that, much easier. Like, you can do all sorts of different tricks with this, like that you couldn't do with any of the other CD players. But yeah, I think, I mean, the only thing, of course, is like, I made this choice, and it's always a struggle with the festivals and promoters. Like, we just got Pioneer, because everybody has Pioneer, and it's the easy thing to do. I'm like, well, but I'm using Denon. Well, we got Pioneer. I'm like, oh. So it's always a struggle, but I think it's becoming less of a struggle, because there's more people like me who are asking for the Denon DJ set. Like, I even had promoters telling me, dude, you and all you bastards who are now switching to Denon have forced me to buy a new DJ set for my club. I am really sorry to hear that, because I know they're not cheap. No, but hey, not. Man, yeah. But I mean, they're really. I think they are the next thing, and I think if Denon plays their cards right, they should be dominating the market within a few years. It's of course still going to take a while, but it's I think it's good that now we have options. Like, to be between you and me, I'm also a little biased, because I really, really liked Denon before this whole Prime thing happened. Like, I'm talking those small players that everybody hated. I love those things. And it's actually what I used to learn to DJ 15 years ago. So this was right when the first CDJs were coming out, I think. And everybody was using them. I was like, no, fuck that shit. I don't, I want my Denons. And it was the same struggle, except of course, eventually they lost support and everybody was using Pioneers. Okay, let's use Pioneer. But to me, Pioneer was always the option that I was basically I had to use it because I had no other option. So my story with Denon is it's a very romantic one. It's like, oh my God. I remember when this happened, I had Joanna Size hitting me up on Facebook, like, oh my God, if there's like someone who deserves to be working with those people, is you. Like, you were the one defending Denon when nobody gave a fuck about Denon. So it's been a really interesting ride, and I'm happy to work with them. I think it's going to do great things for the scene. No,
that's awesome. I've just found out. Remember the guy's name. He actually works on the side of Akai and Sonivox and stuff now. But at the time he was at a couple of years ago, I mean, it's all part of the same group, the In Music group. But no, I've been chatting him for years, because I used to go to the DJ Expo here before I moved. It's up in Birmingham every year. They've just, I think the one I went to a couple of years ago was the last one of that size. But then there's 2 that have come out of it as well now. So there's like 2 shows a year, which is fantastic. But I got to play, like I said, with Denon. I've loved their stuff for years. I used to have a Denon, was it a DNX 1500 mixer, which was a tank. I took that everywhere, and it didn't fail me, which was good at the time. No, and when I looked at sort of buying a controller, they had like the nice ones, the DNS 6000, I think it was, solid metallic build. I ended up going with Native Instruments, to be honest with you, but at the time I was seriously considering it, but it was just sort of slightly out of my price range. And And no. Since then, I'm sat in front of 2 turntables right now, so I've gone back in time.
That's awesome.
No, I'm doing. I don't know.
We need some of that too. I think.
Oh no, we do. Like I said, I was a scratch DJ in a band for a while, but I was also a scratch DJ outside of that. So, and this year I challenged myself to produce 365 videos, like a video a day of me scratching.
Oh wow! All right.
And we're on day 225, I think now.
And you have 225 streams.
I have 224. I've got to upload the one from today.
All right, there you go. Well, I mean, dude, that's still a fucking. I mean, if you had told me, I mean, there were like 20 days where I just couldn't do it. I would still understand. You know what I mean? That's awesome.
It has been an absolute challenge, but it's something that I've like. I needed to because basically when I moved to the States, I couldn't take my turntable, or I didn't take my turntables with me. So I ended up taking my controller, but there's only a limited sort of thing. I had the Tractor S2. And it's a solid controller, but and it did for my radio show and all that kind of stuff. But I missed the sort of feel of the physical sort of aspect of it. So when I got back and we got our own place here, I've actually got a garage I'm sat in right now with everything set up. So
all right.
I'm a very happy person right now. But I bought myself a portable turntable as well. I got one of those Newmark scratch turntables.
Yeah.
So I can go anywhere, and it's like a tiny little it's one of the sort of like archiving turntables.
Yeah.
Where you can just sort of you convert your vinyl to MP3, but it's been modified with a crossfader and all that kind of stuff. And I've been doing stuff with that. So I'm like,
that's awesome, dude. Yeah. If you want, maybe I could. I mean, you already mentioned you're speaking with Simon, but I also know Jay and Andy. Okay. Jay is like the Denon DJ specific person from In Music Brands, and Andy is the Akai specific person. Okay. And I was interested in trying the new Akai 4s because I really like that solution too. I was thinking of, whenever I travel, just take that thing with me and start making music because I still... I guess you could still get a laptop, but my laptop is just too cumbersome. If you really want a good laptop that you can do proper things with, I don't know. I'm not very good with, I don't see the point in buying myself a 500-pound laptop to make music. It's eventually going to crash. Rather have like a whole system with, and then you have the laptop and then the MIDI controller and then the whole thing. And this thing is all like packaged in one. I thought it was amazing. That's something I'm looking forward to test.
Yeah.
But I can always get in touch with those people as well and see if whatever happens, man.
Oh yeah, no, can do. I mean, they are literally in the UK. They are based about 5 miles away from me.
All right, then you're good. All right, so you can just go storm the door and be like, "Hey."
I could. I've never liked to ask for stuff though, so I'm one of those like. I've always paid for everything that I've got, so it's like,
fair enough. But, I mean, if you can do that, that's awesome. But
I can't. My credit card can. So
I hear you. Yeah. I hear you. I mean, I'm always. Sometimes. Whenever I've had the blessing of having company offering me a discount, like I'm just so thankful. But I'm more interested, like just collaborating with them. It's promotion for them. It's promotion for me.
Yeah.
And I try to do it with people that I'm genuinely excited about. Like sometimes I'll do it with smaller companies. I'm like, dude, I just bought this plugin and I think this is great. Like, and I'd love to give you a testimonial. And then they get like super excited. And sometimes they send me all the licenses and stuff. But I don't really like. Also, I also don't come up front like, hey, I want this for free because I'm Zardonic. That's okay. That guy is long gone.
Yeah, no. When I was in the band, we were endorsed by various like companies. And yeah, it was a question of it was one point where we were sending out letters saying, "Oh, we're doing this. Would you mind? Would you want to endorse us?" And we ended up with a Marshall amplification endorsement.
Oh, that's amazing, dude.
Things can happen when you send letters. So
yeah, that is true. That is true.
But no, I mean, the Denon the Prime kit. I loved it because it was kind of an all-in-one system, and it was all built in house as well. So you haven't got like a piece of software that can be like that's on everything that has various like issues. It's a bit like not to use my sort of like bias on Apple side of things, but a lot of their stuff is built in house, or everything's built in house.
No, fair enough, so man. I mean, Apple is still Apple is still a really, really good ecosystem. I think. I mean, it's not my ecosystem of choice, but I'm not like. I don't see the point of this whole like, oh, I'm on PC, so let's bash Apple. It's just two different systems, and they both work, and whichever whatever floats down your river.
No, I was a Microsoft technician as well, so I'm fluent in both languages, if you will. So
yeah,
but I just like the fact that it's built in. I don't have to buy virus software. I don't have to like mess around with anything like dramatically, unlike with Windows, where you kind of, if you want to do it, you can customize it completely to what you want it to be. But it also leaves a back door open constantly as well. So
fair enough
for stuff to happen. But before, like you say, with the laptop, I've always had like PC laptops, and then after like a year, 2 years, they stop working or they slow down dramatically. But I've had this MacBook Pro now for 5 years, and I'm still using it. I'm using it right now to record this. So
yeah, fair enough. I mean, as I said, like if it's worked for you, like I don't see why not. I know also like there's a lot of software, like Mac only software, that is really, really. I know there's a lot of film editing standards that are Mac only, so that's like the way to
Final Cut
video
Pro
editing
and stuff, and
and
I think
so
Logic Pro as well on the music side.
Yeah, and I know, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure what Noisia uses now, but I know they were using Logic for a very long time, and then they switched. They were on PC, and then they switched to Mac because Logic went Mac only.
Yes,
and I know I know it to be a great software. So absolutely, man. Like I think it's beautiful that we live in a world where everybody can do just whatever the hell we want. We can still, if only, right?
Yeah.
if only we stopped imposing things on people, and you have to think like this, and it's just so.
That is exactly right.
Yeah, it's so pointless. I think it's beautiful that we have the options. We have too many options, actually. If you ask me, it was like way too many options.
We are spoiled for choice, but and then you've got to, like, for some reason, people like to justify their choices to an extreme measure. So,
yeah, that is true. They get too religious about it. The second people get religious about something, that's when it stops making sense.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. No, I was going to regale you with a funny little thing. The other day, my wife was listening to some music, and she goes, "Oh, you'll really like this. This is like right up your alley," and it was you. It was your album.
Oh, that's amazing, man! Oh, but send my regards to your wife. I wish you guys all of the happiness in the world and many years together of tolerance and communication. That's
it's all good. We've been together. Well, we've been married for 13 years this year, so
Oh my God! All right. So so you got the tolerance and communication part. Well, you could write a book about it.
Oh yeah, we could. Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. Yeah, that's one of my personal goals as well. I mean, it seems like something so outdated for so many people, but I am a guy that. I remember since, as far as this is no joke, since I was 3 years old, I remember wanting to get married. It actually goes to this really funny story that happened this one time. I went to a neighbor's house. There's a really, really beautiful woman these days. And she was, of course, back then a 3-year-old girl, and I'm a 3-year-old dude. And I look at her, and I look at my mom, and I say, "Hey, that's my girlfriend." Like, "What do you mean that's your girlfriend? You haven't even talked to her." No. But she has a pretty face, so she's my girlfriend. I just said that in their house, and everybody just bursted out laughing. But it's really funny. Like, since this story, this is something that my parents would always talk about. It's like, yeah, you were just really into having a partner since you were a little kid. Like, I wasn't trying to, I had my share of fun, but at the end of the day, I realized like it wasn't really for me. And I always tried to pursue romantic relationships many times, maybe making the wrong choices sometimes. Maybe I wasn't ready for some things yet myself, but I remember all my friends saying like, "Oh, dude, no, you're way too intense. Just go get laid and have fun." I'm like, "Yeah, but that doesn't work for me." And I went ahead and did it, and I had my fun. And then I realized again, okay, this was fun for a while, but it's not really what I want. So thankfully right now I have an amazing, gorgeous girlfriend who is also one of the main reasons why I'm moving to Italy, because she wanted to move here.
Yeah.
She lives near Rome.
Okay.
And then we decided, let's just take this whole thing to Italy instead. I mean, she has her own ecosystem there. She has amazing friends that are also really good friends of mine. And I also get really, it was way easier for me to learn Italian. I can speak some pretty good Italian right now as opposed to German. I've been 2 years in Germany, and my German is not as fluent by any means. And so yeah, it is a tough, it's not as tough as people make it out to be, but it is a tough language.
Yeah.
But in any case, I'm like, Jesus Christ, like I couldn't be more blessed, like, similar values, similar tastes, similar preferences. Like she, the second time we've known each other for like since 2016, but we started a serious thing since September last year. And the second time we met was because she hits me up and shows me a ticket for Slayer at the Milan Forum. And I'm like, what is this? Are you going to see Slayer? And she's like, no, you're coming to see Slayer with me. I don't know how you're going to do this, but you're coming to see Slayer with me. I'm like, I mean, that's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, I couldn't ask for more, man. I guess it took a while, but I think everybody finds what they want. You know, some people may not want that, and they're happy like that, I guess. But I read somewhere, which is something that actually struck me. There was a guy saying, like, you know, at the end of the day, when you're old and alone and with herpes, you're going to wish you got married. So, yeah, I mean, we have all this carpe diem thing, but we forget that there is an after, and, you know, life takes a toll on whatever you've done. So
yeah.
I think we're not so wrong in making a decision of, you know, it's work. Of course, it's a lot of work, but it's work that is so much worth it.
Yeah.
Having a life partner like that you can call a friend as well.
Yeah, definitely. No, I found mine. Yeah, she's my best friend, as well as being my wife and mother to my children. And yeah, similar kind of story, really. Again, like that being kind of being kind of intense and being in a band and people telling you to enjoy it, people telling you just, you know, don't do this, don't do that. And, you know, that's, again, I wanted something long term. I wanted something, you know, that's kind of who I am and what I like, you know, it's that, and it's but yeah, no, I was just same, like I say, same sort of deal. I ended up finding my partner and we go to shows together and stuff like that. She'll surprise me with tickets to go see various rock bands and stuff like that. And, you know, we go there together. It's not just for me to enjoy, it's for her as well. So
that's amazing. Yeah. That really is amazing. It's not easy. It's not easy to find.
No, it's not at all. And I went through a few before I got to her. So, you know, it's like, it's just sort of finding that someone who gets you, you know, and you get them as well. And you kind of like, and you have that effect on each other rather than one of you sort of like depending on the other for everything or anything like that. So
yeah, that is true. That's it's a pretty common and unhealthy pattern. The whole depending on somebody else thing or somebody else depending on you, it never makes for a good relationship. So, man, cheers to our future. Well, to your family and to my future family. Yes,
cheers indeed. I'm gonna wrap things up now because it's getting late here, and I've got work in the morning. So.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, like, do you upload this recording somewhere, or do you translate it to text?
No, it's uploaded. It goes out as a podcast.
All right.
So it gets released on Apple Podcasts. It gets released on Stitcher, and also the website.
Oh shit! Well. Then I should probably say hello to people. Hey, people! Thank you, dude. If anybody has actually listened up to this point, like, you know, respect to you. Thank you for keeping up with us.
Yes, no, this is one of my log ones. It's great. I like this. Normally I hit groups and bands on a promotional trail, so I get like 15 minutes with them, which is, you know, it's fine for like promotional purposes, but like I prefer the long format interview or just chat, you know. Because you find
feels
out a lot
more natural.
Yeah, you get a lot more out of it, like on a personal level. It makes it worthwhile because I could just like I've worked for radio and stuff like that, and I can just like rack off like promotional junkets, you know. Like you've got you like when we started this, like, you know, why do you wear your mask? What about your new album?
Yeah.
You know, all that kind of stuff. And you can knock that out, you know, straight away. It's one of those things, you get like the 10, 15 minutes with them, bang, 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 done. And, you know, and sometimes it works. I've only ever had one that was really awkward. But out of the sort of 90, I think I'm on 98 now, like episodes.
Well, dude, if you've got only one awkward episode out of 98, then you're good.
No, I know. That's why I was like, you know, and it was just one that it like I'm gonna revisit. I'm gonna find them again and interview them again because I enjoy their music, but I think I might have just caught them at a bad moment. So,
yeah,
but I'll go back to that. But
you never know. I mean, sometimes also people like, I mean, I've also had those moments where I'm like right now we had this awesome conversation and I'm glad it's gonna be there, but I've also had a couple times like a couple people who wanted to interview me and I'm just like, fuck, like seriously, like like when are we gonna be done with this? Of course, like later I'm thinking like, yeah, of course I should be thankful because this is promotion for everybody. But I remember like, you know, every now and then you just have, Jesus Christ, I remember also this gig in Italy I had once, like I was so pissed off and tired. I just wanted to play and get the hell out of there. And everybody wanted to take pictures. And so I took 1 picture, 2 pictures, 10 pictures, 20 pictures. And then when I'm trying to get out the door, this kid stops me. He's like, hey, can we take 1 picture? I'm like, no! Like the poor kid was so completely, you know, terrified by my answer. But I was so done. And then, but, you know, I ended up, I just came behind him like, dude, just come over. Just don't say anything. Oh, what's going on? Listen, I'm very sorry. I'm just really fucking tired. I've done like 15 fucking dates and I haven't had the chance to have any shut eye. But thank you for coming. I mean, if it wasn't for people like you, I wouldn't be doing this. So yes, please take a picture, but don't say it to anybody because I really need to go to sleep. Oh, it's all good. So, you know, it happens. Sometimes you just... Yeah. Sometimes you catch somebody at a bad moment and then everybody says, oh, he's such an asshole. He's such a... I mean, maybe I caught the panacea at a bad moment and maybe he would still be friends with me, but I don't know. We just never talked again. You know?
I should reach out and see what happens, I think, on that front.
Yeah. And, that actually sounds like a good idea. I'm going to do that.
Just say, look, last time we met, I didn't think it went, you know, but hey, I'm in Germany.
Yeah, get out. That should probably be interesting.
Yeah, no.
Hopefully, you know, we get a collaboration going. Like I said, like I have nothing but respect for what that guy does. Will be great.
Yeah. No, I loved his music back in the day, so I'm gonna have to go back and check out some of the stuff that I've missed because there's a lot of stuff that I've missed, I think.
I would recommend you because I mean I know you gotta wrap things up, but if you wanna check something from. There's this remix that he did for The Hard Way that I really play all the time. And almost all, I think I've played it in my set since it came out every single time. It's called, the song is called Total Fucking Nihilism, which is an amazing name. So it's you want to check out the original too if you want. And then there's his remix, which takes it to the next level. It's like really, it's just loud as fuck. It's ridiculously loud. It's awesome. Yeah.
Oh, check that. I've written it down in my notes, so yeah, I'll check that out. Cool. So, I got a couple of generic questions left for you, if this is all right.
Yeah. Do that.
Just kind of wrap things up. I generally ask everybody this, so it's sort of just sort of a nice way I like to wrap up the interview. So, what are your 3 top albums that kind of shape who Zardonic is or who you are?
That's a tough one. I got like 20,000, but I'll try to think of the 3 that come off the top of my head.
Go for it.
The Great Southern Trendkill by Pantera. Absolutely. That was the record that actually, I mean, I heard metal before that, but that was the record that made me obsessed about metal. Like that was the day. The before and after, I used to dress preppy, and then I started wearing shorts and ripped Cannibal Corpse shirts, and you know, and going to concerts and looking angry all the time. That was that record. And then, Jesus, like 2 more records that I can think of. I mean, and like there's just a lot of stuff that I like, but in terms of like shaping the sounds, I would guess maybe Remanufacture by Fear Factory.
Okay,
that was one of the first times that I heard that sound together, and I thought it was amazing. I thought it was like, I actually am guilty of even liking that remix album more than the original album, which I know is kind of a blasphemy to say, but I love that remix album. I thought it was great. Every single track on it was amazing.
Yeah, that was a band I was trying to remember earlier when we were talking about bands that kind of like had that crossover sound, and Fear Factory were huge for me. I like just just their, like, I mean, it wasn't, what was the word? No, it was just so heavy but clean. You know what I mean? It was but it had that real, like, sort of like, I mean, playing it in a club sort of wise, like playing Linchpin or something like that, people love. But going back to that Remanufacture, Demanufacture album era, those tracks were fucking heavy as shit. So, and Pantera,
they marked an era for sure.
Yeah, I just sort of wish people today knew who they were, because I've played them recently and people are like, what's this? I'm like, no.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, man. You know, generations change and things that they're always going to be huge for us, but, you know, sadly looking at the numbers, they're just not.
Yeah.
And it's sad because they actually, even in the numbers and on sales, like Fear Factory back in the day was like a really, really stupid successful band.
Yeah.
Third album to wrap this up. I would say Fat of the Land by The Prodigy, absolutely.
Okay, yep, no, that is a hell of an album. That changed a lot of things for a lot of people, that one.
Throw that last question. Let's do it.
Cool. What are your hobbies away from music? What do you do to get away from Zardonic?
Not so much get away, but video games.
Video games, okay.
A lot. Oh, yeah, I play too much. But the thing is, not so much get away, I mean, because I have this dream, and it actually happened already. Like, Zardonic is a character in a video game. Okay. So when I see video games, sometimes I'm thinking, like, how can I integrate this into... Sometimes I see that. Like, Zardonic is not just a drum and bass act, it's just the character. I think it has so much potential for so many things. But, I mean, I could spend the next 5 hours talking more about it.
All right.
But...
I'm not going to keep you. What platform do you play on video game-wise? Just out of interest.
You know, different genres, but I'm usually I really like RPGs, like old school Japanese RPGs, the Final Fantasy series, and also this new genre, new quote unquote, it's been around for like 10 years, but this new genre of like RPG shooters like Mass Effect, Assassin's Creed as well, like really, really, I discovered it recently. I know I'm late to the party, but I was blown away by it. It's like, holy shit, now I see why people love this so much.
What do you play on? What system?
Mostly on PC, but I just ordered myself a Nintendo Switch, so I think my wallet's going to suffer for a bit.
It will. It will, trust me.
Yeah. I know. Cool. But yeah, dude, I mean, anytime you want, you know, hit me up on WhatsApp, Skype, and thank you everybody who's like, I'm here just talking to you, forgetting that there's people who going to listen to this. Thank you everybody who tuned in up until this time. I'm very sorry that I have to go speak to my girlfriend, but I really don't want her to.
I've got to go to bed, so we're in the same sort of thing. I think my wife's probably gone to bed, so that's all good. It's Federico, isn't it? Your name?
Yeah,
yes,
that's my real name.
That's your real name. Yes, I was just making sure. Because I was reading off the thing, sometimes people put different names for their thing. So,
it's Federico.
Thank you for this. I really appreciate it. It's been a long time coming for me anyway to actually get you on the show. But no, it's been an absolute pleasure. And
likewise, man.
Yeah, good luck with the Infest Festival and all your other dates you got coming up in Europe as well.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, let's catch up soon. We'll figure something out. We'll meet for sure.
Yeah, definitely. All right, man. Have a good one, all right? And good night.
You too, man. Cheers.